much it for callouts and holding. Next, I want to go through a bit of individual play. What can help your gameplay generally. So the first thing is your settings. There's a bunch of settings in game here. Again, not the right. Oh, we lost Andy. Well, that's right.
No, it's not. It's not dead. It's not dead.
Oh, okay, thank you. So yeah, settings. There's a bunch of settings. I have put a guide for settings on the Discord too, so you can check that. Settings channel, I believe. Usually, what you want to do, and that's why you see my graphic settings are very low, is you want to maximize your FPS because it helps you in a bunch of ways. Main way, it helps you aim, obviously. But it also, because of a weird bug in the game, it also helps your fire rate. So actually, if you have bad FPS, your fire rate is gonna get lower. So you want to make sure your FPS are good. And also minimizing like your graphic settings will also help with clutter on your screen. You'll see less explosion, less effect going around everywhere. So that's good. And the last point is wall jumps. We're gonna talk a bit about them later, but it helps you to make wall jumps to have higher FPS because again, the game is made in terrible ways. Wall jumps like that. So to maximize FPS, reduce graphic settings. I have, as you can see, everything on low except texture on ultra because while your CPU is doing the downscale from ultra to low, so since my CPU is usually the bottleneck, I keep the texture on ultra so that my CPU don't have to work extra to downscale the texture. Two very important settings you also need to look at. Not to go too much in depth, but it's your field of view. You want it to be relatively high because it helps you know what's around you and not be focused just in front of you. It's basic FPS things. Lastly is mouse acceleration, a big thing in FPS that fucks your aim a lot. Something that's active on Windows sometimes, and also I believe in game you can activate that, but usually make sure it's not. Yes, you see here mouse acceleration in general. The way it works is when you move your mouse slowly, it will do less travel, and when you move your mouse fast, it will travel more, even if it's the same distance in both cases. So it's annoying. So that's a good thing to pay attention to. But enough of settings. Let's talk about aiming. So as I said, aiming, it's FPS, big part of the game. You need to make sure your sensitivity is alright for you to aim with. Usually, as a rule of thumb, people have too high sensitivities. So if you didn't pay attention to your sensitivity before, take a look at it, try to lower it a bit, and see if that helps killing you people. If that helps you killing people, sorry. And big reason for that is in that game, you need to aim for heads. You need to aim for the head because that's twice your damage. So you kill people a lot faster if you aim for the head. So that's why you need to aim well if you want to kill people. You can do also aim training. There is a bunch of tutorial for every FPS to train your aims. I can also give you tips if you ask me, but I don't want to go too in depth on that because that's quite advanced. Big thing that can help, and it is easy to do, fix your crosshair position. Usually people in FPS look in front of them on the ground like that. Problem is if they see an enemy when they enter a room, they need to look up. So a good thing for that is in most buildings, you see that yellow line here, that's usually head level. So you see if I aim at that yellow line here, I'm already on the head of Panda. So if I go into a building, I aim at the yellow line of time. Even if I'm running around, I don't look at the ground. I look at the yellow line, around somewhere the yellow line, so I don't need to travel with my mouse too much when I need to aim at someone. My aim is always ready for people. Other thing and last thing about aiming, in that game, yes, you want to aim for heads, but hip fire, depending on your weapons, hip fire is also a good tool. You see here I have an SMG, very small hip fire cone, so even at that distance I can like, just hip fire people. Even there I would dare to hip fire. With assault rifle and LMG it's not the same deal, but carbines and SMG are good weapon to hip fire with.
Depends of the carbine.
Not all of the carbines, that's true. So yeah, that's all about aiming. Reading your minimap is an extremely useful tool in that game. It's basically a warlag. If you look at the minimap, well, we don't have enemies, but you see here on the minimap that dot. I don't know if you see my mouse. Do you see my mouse?
Well, I can
Yes,
see the
yes,
flashing dots, so
Yeah, well, you can see the dots. So if you see the dots that making waves on the map, on the minimap, that's recon. So the way it works is if you see dots like that of the color of your teams, you have recon. If the enemy have things of that color, sorry, of their color, damn. If the enemy has things of their color doing that, they have recon. Usually both teams have recon. And it makes so that every few seconds you're pinged on the minimap for the enemies. So if you see enemy having that, you need to be careful because they probably know where you are. But if you have recon, you can see when enemy are going to pick up a door, and that's very important. About recon and about minimap more like, spotting people with the Q key by default is very important. It gives you 100% accuracy of their position for 10 seconds, I believe. It also gives you their orientation, where they're looking. So if they are, for example, here, if I'm spotted and I'm here looking at the door and wanting to peek in, they'll see on the minimap that I'm looking at the door, so as I know I'm gonna peek anytime, so I can like pre-fire and pre-aim where I'm gonna be. On the minimap itself, the way I like to play with, people like different things. Is there a squad? Oh, well, that's something else. The way I like to have things on my minimap, I know people not necessarily like it like that, but is to have my mouse wheel by its default in game, I believe, mouse wheel for zoom in minimap, so that way you can check far and see vehicles
That's not
further.
default.
What is it?
That's not default.
Oh, that's
Default
not
is
default. My bad.
switching. Switching is switching weapons.
But if you zoom out, you can see vehicles. If you zoom in, you can see very accurate building layouts. And I also have to have my minimap extended. So if you press H by default again, I believe, you
Yes,
extend
H
your
by
minimap,
default.
and well, it's bigger, so it's easier to see things.
Oh yeah, I never play with minimap.
I know some people don't
reduced.
like it.
No, but like I never play with minimap reduced.
Oh
Like,
yeah, with minimap reduced, same. I always have it
You-
extended. And also
one
fixed
shot
minimap,
gameplay.
which is, I believe, in interface options. Yes, on the right side, interface option, fixed minimap. It allows you to not have your minimap move around when you look around. So it's helpful for me at least to always know where north is compared to the building I'm in. It's a bit trickier for me to know which direction I'm looking at, but usually I know the building layout well enough so that I know here if I'm looking at that direction, I know on the minimap without even looking at my direction on the minimap. I look at the building direction, I know
Yeah.
where I'm
Now
looking
that
at.
now that we have two compasses, it's easier to see where you are looking at.
You also have two compasses, that's true. Well, I disable mine, but on top of your screen you should have a compass that
And on
gives you
top of the
north.
minimap, there is one as well.
And on top of the map there is the same. That's true. So minimap very important. Keep a look at it at all time. Every few seconds you should look your minimap if you really want to make sure there's no enemies around. Next thing, cover. Obviously FPS, you have aiming, you have info, and you have cover. So you can use cover in a bunch of ways. Usually when you hold an angle and when you pick something, you want to have very sharp angles. So if I, for example, want to go through that door, I do what's called slicing the pie. So instead of just going to the door and looking left, right, I go on the side of the door and taking a sharp angle, look on the right side of the door. I know there is nothing here. I look a bit more towards that way. I know there is nothing here. I continue, I see something, I can shoot, I continue. That all the way, so you know every time you push a bit, you're mostly secure except from the new part you're pushing into. So you know where enemy can be. So that's called slicing the pie. That's how you should like get into doors and hold cover mostly. Not hold cover, hold line of sight mostly. So you see if I'm holding that line of sight, I'm holding a very sharp angle, very tiny way for the enemies to see me. Not like that, because that's gonna be very exposed for me. Also keep in mind the line of sight you have when you're on the cover, when you're holding somewhere. For example, if I'm holding balcony and I'm holding right there, it's a very bad position to be here, because I can be shot obviously from balcony, but I can also be shot that way from probably a light assault that's gonna be on that window, and some other light assault might be coming from that window, and also that roof. So it's a very bad place to be in. So keep in mind which line of sight can see you, so you can be placed in a way you minimize the danger. If you're here, it's much better. You have friends that are covering here. You also have this window, but the angle is sharper, so it's easier for you to be protected. You are no longer seen by here, and you're only seen by roof and here, which is very close for you to aim. So it's a much better place. There is some specificities. I'll need to swap back to NG to make sure we can see that. Some problem with crouching that you need to keep in mind, because crouching usually feels very safe, but it's actually most of the time not. Panda, if you can crouch behind that. So if you see, and yeah, don't move. So not in the middle, be on the side. So you see, if Panda is here, he's okay. He should be safe. Well, I can still shoot him, but if I'm far enough, I should not be able to shoot him very well. If he's in the middle, however, I can always shoot him. Well, if I had not a shotgun, yes. Can always shoot him. So don't be in the middle of barriers. Also, if you move left to right, his head picks up. So if you move,
also shoot through the shields.
yeah, that
Also
works for
just
every shield. So if you move left to right, if you move well any direction when you crouch, usually you're not in cover anymore as long as you move. Also, if you push into the cover, Panda. No, just crouch and walk towards it. His head might peek through. So if you push into a cover, be careful, because your head might peek through and some people can shoot you through the barrier. So be mindful about that. Crouching is a useful tool. Yeah, like that. I can probably shoot here. Well, it doesn't work there, but it can work on some cover. So be mindful about that. Crouching feels safe, but you need to know which situation it's safe in. So those cover.
Also, you stuck yourself when you have two people crouching on each other.
Oh yeah, when you crouch, yes. Here I'm crouched, I cannot go back up unless I go out of my friend. So if you crouch into someone, be careful, you're stuck. So those barriers, most common cover you want to crouch behind, so be mindful of where it's safe on the side and not moving. Other very important cover are those. Again, same as barrier, you're safe only when you're behind that high area and not when you're behind that low area on here. So here, you're not safe, you see Panda. And yeah, if he's moving, he's not safe. Here, he's safe. So be mindful of those. That's the two main cover you want to crouch behind usually, and the one you need to be mindful about. Last bit advanced strategy is head glitching. When you look at Panda, look at me and aim, his head tilt on the right side. So if he has cover on his right side, it's very hard for me to see his head. It's harder than on the other side. So it's not like a perfect 100% cover, but it's a good thing to know. If you have cover on your right side and you aim, you're usually more covered on your head.
From the door, it's going to be easier to see.
Yeah. So his head is very shown to me, but if you go on the other side, his head is way more hidden. Important things to know for covers is grenades. Well, I miss it. Yes. As long as you don't see the grenade, with your feet. You take the center of your feet and the center of the grenade. As long as there is a cover behind it, like that, you don't take the damage from the grenade. So it's very well EMP that doesn't work, but frag grenades, concussive grenades, flash, all of that, you should be able to line of sight the grenade like that. Angles like that
Yeah.
are very good for it.
Yeah, and like we said, flashes turning around doesn't do anything. Like
Yeah,
if you are in the radius of the flash, you get flashed.
Yeah, you don't need to
anyway.
turn around on the flash like on CSGO, for example. It doesn't work. If you're in the radius and not behind cover like that, you'll take the flash. Concussion, same. Not EMPs.
Oh, what is that? Piss.
What is what?
No, I meant more like when you're in the radius and turn around, did you still take the flash? What is this?
I mean, it's
Fucking
fair, honestly.
I mean, it makes it so in a very chaotic game like Planet Side, flashes are still useful.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit unfair when you come from Counter-Strike, for example.
Yeah, but it would be like still fair if you can
If-
turn around, because then all the enemies turn around and you can
Yes,
just
but you
blind
don't have
fire.
you don't have as much time. It's not as fast paced. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
movement is not as fast. So
Yep.
the opportunity time you get from a flash is so low that the opportunity cost is too high.
Yeah, it
You-
makes flash a bit more useful than otherwise. But you have ways to counter flash with medic cleans, for example, now. So it's a good thing. And
for
that's
that
pretty
cover.
much it for cover. Bunch of things. So a lot of things useful to know. Picking, I went through a bit, but I still have things to add. So I talked about slicing the pie for doors and most openings. Another important things to know, it's in most FPS, but in PlanetSide it can be worse depending of your ping. It's called Picker's Advantage. The way it works is if you leave cover, well, on your screen, your computer know you leave cover before the enemy's computer because it's internet. So it needs to, like, the information that you're leaving cover needs to travel from your computer to his computer. So on your computer, you leave sooner than on his. So if you pick a door and you do it fast and aim after, or aim while you do it, you're gonna have a few milliseconds. Usually, it's depending on your ping, it can be quite important. It can go upward to 100 milliseconds with pretty normal ping, like 50 on each side. Well, you already have 100 milliseconds. 50 millisecond ping on each side, you already have 100 milliseconds, and that's quite a lot when you actually.
That's without counting like reducing the
Yes, server
server side
lag,
stuff.
tick rate, and stuff like that. It doesn't count that. So, for example, human reaction is 200 to 300 milliseconds. So you're adding
200
half to
is
a cell.
quite low.
What do you say?
200 is really low.
Well, 200 is really low, yeah, fair. But you're adding at least half. No, at maximum half. Sorry, you're adding like a third of time for you to aim compared to him. So, Picker's Advantage, pick fast, and make sure you pre-aim where he is. That's how you exploit that to the maximum. But don't overextend with it. Don't push out the door just to use Picker's Advantage in a hold. That's gonna be annoying. Sprinting, important when you're picking. Don't sprint. The problem with sprinting is you have an animation time between sprinting and actually shooting, so you cannot shoot immediately. You see here, I click while I'm running, but I still shoot way after. So don't sprint and pick. And yeah, that's pretty much it for like basic picking mechanics. Last fun thing I want to go through, and then we're gonna talk about a more specific loadout and gameplay for each class, mainly, is wall jumping. Wall jumping is a fun part of the game. It's very important to know if you want to run around buildings efficiently. Triple stack is luckily a very good building to wall jump on. So for wall jumping, be careful. You need at least 60 FPS for most wall jumps. You see top here, I have about 100 FPS. Top right, I have 100 FPS. You can also press Alt F to see your FPS on bottom left. So at least 60 FPS. I don't think it's easy on this one. Yes, I'll need the deployable, so I'll show another one. I'll show with cat-like, so I don't take time doing them and failing them. Cat-like makes your jump higher, so it's easier to actually showcase wall jumps, but they are mostly doable without cat-like. It's just this triple stack is a bit high off ground, so it's annoying to get on top, like to get the wall jump started. On triple stack, first wall jump, very known is this one. You jump on that texture and you go all the way up. You just keep running into the texture and jump every time you touch it. Jump, you don't need to spam jump, you just have good rhythm with it. Same rhythm you see me jumping there. And you're gonna go up. Here, again, another wall jump. There is 3 main ones, so there is those 2, and there is this one. You stuck yourself in the corner. You look over here, just left of that flat thing, and you jump. And you're here. You're on the balcony window. If it's open, you can enter square. You can also rotate to balcony, and you have a very advantageous position. You can go all the way around. You can go through those windows. You can shoot the engineer in the back, and you can do all that without a light assault. So that's very cool. Last one, I said 3, but yeah, there's the last one. This one, if you go diagonally on this wall, you jump towards the wall diagonally, you can go all the way up. You can stop on this small part here, but I have cat-like, so it's a bit easier for me. But yeah, it's a very good wall jump to know. They are,
FPS requirements, right?
yeah, FPS needs to be quite high for this one specifically. So those are for triple stack. I won't go through every wall jump I know and for every building, because that can be very long. But triple stack is a good one to know, those if you can make them, because they are very useful. The other buildings are more like just alternate routes, but not very essential. On triple stack, you can actually get a full squad going up balcony, and it's actually, if the full squad can do it, it's actually a very viable route to attack the building. So wall jumping, grav lifts is another fun movement mechanic. I will go to a tech plan grav lift. While I walk there, do you have any question? Because I didn't ask, I didn't stop talking. No? Okay. So grav lifts, I'll showcase with this one because it's a big one. So as soon as you touch grav lift and you go up, you're gonna have 6 second fall damage immunity. Well, you don't need to go up. I could touch this one, but I need to be in the air while I'm touching it, so I need to jump before. So you have a 6 second fall damage immunity, and what's good with that is every time you change texture on the ground, you jump and change texture, it resets. So here I have 6 seconds, I go jump here, 6 seconds again, I go jump here, I have 6 seconds again. And you can keep resetting as long as you want. So it's very cool. And as you can see, it allows you for very cool jumps like this one. On no tech plants, you can do that. It takes the main grav lift and you jump over here on that thing. So you can reach on that silo, sorry. It's not a thing, it's a silo. And you can reach the banana building without entering on down floor. So it's very useful. Every grav lift and jump pads give you that 6 second immunity. So know that you can use it as much as you want. I think that's pretty much it for moving. No, we have another one. Last thing, a quite small thing, is bunny hopping. With some weapons, mostly carbine is very useful because carbine, you're not losing accuracy when you're in the air. So when you pick a door, that's one weapon you can actually run and pick, because you pick a door and then you keep jumping while moving on the side, and that way you can shoot, hip fire them. Well, here it's an SMG, so it doesn't work as well, but you can hip fire while being in there and being quite hard to shoot. Because you keep a bit of momentum. You do that for 2-3 jump, not more, and you're gonna get slowed. So don't keep it too long. And one thing, I swapped You can use deployables like turrets or the shield on engineers to start a wall jump. So on the triple stack I was earlier, I could have used my turret to start the wall jump because it placed me a bit higher. So it's a bit easier. I'll show you that. Do, 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 do. Do, do. So here it's a bit hard, as I said, without cat-like on that building to start the wall jump because it's too high.
I don't think you can do it without cat like.
Maybe.
It's a bit high.
But if you place your turret, you can jump on top of it, and then you can do the wall jump. So it's very useful, especially if you're an engineer. You can do that with your shield, with your turret. But some other deployables work.
Prefer doing it with the turret than the shield.
Yeah, because the shield
Just-
you have limited amount, so that's true. Turrets you just have a cooldown. So that's very useful to start wall jumps. Some other deployable work, but engineer is the big one. So that's all for like movements and improving your own gameplay as a solo infantryman.